If you're in Konstanz and you want to get to Friedrichshafen, you could take the train or drive. It'll take you about an hour either way. Or you could go across Lake Constance on the catamaran. Of course, it will still take you about an hour. But there's no denying it, at least when the lake is calm, it's definitely the coolest and most comfortable option. And entirely appropriate because Friedrichshafen is very much centred around its harbour. The town was given its current name in 1811, when King Frederick I of Württemberg decreed that the town of Buchhorn and the village of Hofen should be amalgamated, and named the new town after himself. Friedrichshafen was badly hit by World War II bombs. About 2/3 of it was destroyed. Although the historic centre retains its medieval street layout, most of the buildings are modern. This claims to be the site of Buchhorn's oldest hotel, originally built in 1698. St Nicholas's Church is one of the landmarks of the town, but had to be completely rebuilt after the war. Inside, it was kept simple and unfussy, unusual for a Catholic church. This is in stark contrast to the 18th century church at Hofen. Originally the church of a Benedictine monastery, it was secularized 100 years later in the wake of the Napoleonic Wars, and later made available to the Protestant community, its Baroque interior intact. And so, Friedrichshafen earns the distinction of having a Catholic church that looks like a Protestant church, and a Protestant church that looks like a Catholic church. In the 1920s, when the old church became too small for its growing congregation, a new Catholic church was built in modern Bauhaus style, dedicated to St. Peter Canisius. This whole area was built as the town expanded, a process which continued up to the Second World War. This was built in 1939 as the headquarters of the local National Socialist Party. It's now used as local government administrative offices. The reason for Friedrichshafen's rapid growth and its destruction in the war is its importance for industry. For example, one of the world's leading suppliers of car parts is based here and was founded in 1915. There are also manufacturers of turbines, gas, aircraft and, until a few years ago, cars. All of these industries have one thing in common. They owe their existence here to one man, Ferdinand Adolf Heinrich August Graf von Zeppelin. He needed factories to supply parts for the one thing he became famous for. The museum dedicated to Zeppelin's airships is on the harbour in what used to be the main building of the train station there, perhaps coincidentally uniting air, sea, road and rail travel. True aviation enthusiasts can also visit the Dornier Museum for the history of airplanes, but if it's airships you're particularly interested in, you need to make your way to the back of the airport. If you book early enough, you can ride in an actual airship. It's not cheap since demand is high for a limited number of places. But the next best thing is a guided tour of the hangar. This isn't a museum, it's the real hangar where real Zeppelins are built, maintained and housed. Count Zeppelin himself didn't invent the airship, the idea goes back to 1670, but he did make great advances in the design of rigid airships and helped Germany pull ahead in the airship race. For a while, airships were incredibly successful. They could carry more passengers than the airplanes of the day and in much greater comfort, but they were also complicated to fly and slow, and were already in decline when the famous Hindenburg disaster destroyed public confidence and brought an end to the airship age. Modern airships are much smaller. These are the biggest semi-rigid airships currently flying. They have been used for diamond prospecting, counter-terrorism and scientific research. And unlike the Hindenburg, they're filled with helium, which cannot burn. The modern history of Friedrichshafen is all about Zeppelin. He gave to the town a booming engineering industry, but then this made it a target in the war. But the reconstruction of the town was in part financed by a trust fund set up by Zeppelin himself way back in 1908. First, a very big thank you to Deutsche Zeppelin Reederei for their help in the making of this video. You can book a round trip in a Zeppelin at this address. Prices range from €245 for 30 minutes to €825 for 2 hours. Flights are from March to November, weather permitting. Guided tours of the hangar are available on Tuesdays and Fridays during the flying season, costing about €10 with discounts for holders of flight tickets. Group bookings are also available at other times. To get to the hangar from the town centre by public transport, you need to take the number 5 bus to the stop Zeppelin hangar, but you can't actually see the hangar from the bus stop, so having Google Maps on your phone might be a bit of a lifesaver. Friedrichshafen's main train station is called Friedrichshafen Stadt. From Frankfurt it takes about 3.5 to 4 hours, changing at Ulm and sometimes also at Mannheim. From Munich it's a little over 2.5 hours changing at Ulm, or 3.5 hours changing at Kempten and Lindau. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I took the catamaran from Konstanz. It leaves at 2 minutes past every hour and arrives at the other end at a few minutes to the hour. You buy your tickets before you board from the ticket machines in this little hut at the harbour. If you're arriving by car from Switzerland, your best option might be the car ferry from Romanshorn. There's also a small airport with flights from Berlin, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Düsseldorf and some other European cities, including London Gatwick. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to send me a postcard, here's the address. And don't forget to visit my website and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, if you'd like access to special bonus content and help with the costs of running this channel, please consider making a small monthly donation on Patreon.